Alam mo, when you're flying a plane, it's actually so loud kasi the engine is so loud. Pero it's so peaceful up there. Other than it's really fun to fly, I feel like it's an experience that everyone should experience. Super peaceful lang sa taas.
Hi, kami sina Joe
At Jay.
at nakikinig kayo sa Kwentuhang Pilibustero podcast. Siguro marami sa atin na nagkaroon ng pangarap na maging piloto para makapagpalipad ng eroplano at syempre makalipad sa ating magandang kalangitan, no? Siguro yung iba sa atin hanggang ngayon ay pinapangarap pa rin yon. Kaya naman para sa episode na ito, makakasama natin ang aking maganda at malapit na kaibigang si Paula Nicole Las Marias, also known as Pau, upang pagkwentuhan ang paksang The Pilot Dream. Hello, Pau. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Super honored kami na makasama ka namin dito ngayon. So, to start this off, ikaw, J.A., pinangarap mo ba noon na maging piloto?
At one point, yes. Kasi very, very prestigious yung title of a pilot, di ba? And it's a dream para sa humankind ang lumipad. And you're at the forefront of that dream. Kaya para sa akin, natural na maging dream ng mga bata talaga yung maging piloto.
True. In fact, noong elementary nga ako, yun din yung pangarap ko nun eh. Yung mga nilalagay ko sa mga ambition. To be a pilot, ganun. Anyway, ikaw, Pau, paano ka nagsimula sa aviation?
Okay, so actually sobrang unlike a lot of people, alam ko nga that a lot of kids, they wanna be pilots. Pero ako, I realized the dream of becoming a pilot, I think after college na.
Mm-hmm.
So, my sister, yung panganay namin, she went to Siargao for surfing. Tapos she went home, tapos sabi niya, may nakasurf daw siyang pilot. Tapos sabi niya, girl, tapos maliit lang, tapos nagpipiloto siya for Cebu Pac. Tapos sabi ko, shocks! Babae ako! Tapos maliit lang din ako. So parang nag-research ako about it. Tapos parang oo nga, it's not just for men, it's not just for those who are tall. It can be for anyone who's passionate about flying talaga. Tapos yun, din nag-awaken sa akin yung parang passion na, oh, this is something I want to do. This is something na I see myself doing for the rest of my life. So yun, dun siya nag-start.
What is it about aviation na na-compel ka into that field? Ganun.
Oh man. So, whenever I get asked kung bakit nga ba aviation, I always have so many things na naiisip ko. Sobrang daming reasons. As in, pag dinictate ko lahat, magiging 5-hour podcast. So,
Walang kasi yun.
Okay, so, siguro I'll choose one na lang. I like how it's both brain and muscle. Alam niyo yun, yung parang,
Interesting.
it doesn't stop sa ground school that you know how planes fly, that you know how to start a plane, how to fly a plane. It doesn't stop there. So parang you have to prove na your body can actually fly the plane. That's why we renew our medical licenses every year to make sure that every pilot is fit to fly. So every year you have to make sure that you're healthy, ganyan. Kasi it doesn't really stop sa books. So your body has to be able to translate kung ano yung alam mo. Dapat coordinated. Hindi lang siya sa kamay, hindi lang siya arms hindi lang siya kamay, pati yung legs mo, pati yung feet mo. Merong times that I get off of the plane and my legs are shaking. As in, nakakapagod kasi when it's windy, sobrang kailangan mong mag-rudder control and mag-shake yung legs mo pagka baba mo ng aircraft. As in, whole body, little workout talaga siya. So, ganun. I love how it's a combination of that. It's books plus your muscle, brains and muscle. That's what I love about it.
Interesting. Ngayon ko lang nalaman yan, no? Kasi parang, syempre, assume mo lang na nakaupo ka lang doon. Parang ang gumagana, syempre, yung kamay for navigating or controlling the plane, di ba? Or the aircraft.
Yeah.
Tsaka yung perception mo, yung pagtingin mo sa kung ano nasa harap mo. Tapos nung sinabi mo na it's brain and bronze or body.
Yeah.
Parang na-associate ko siya sa sa F1 racing. Kasi sa F1 racing kailangan physically fit ka rin, di ba? Especially yung core mo tsaka yung lower body kasi doon yung center of gravity mo.
Neck.
Ayun din. Parang doon makikita yung similarity kasi di mo ina-expect na kailangan mo maging physically fit to anong tawag doon? Para makontrol yung sasakyan o yung plane na yan, di ba?
Yeah, but I think that's true. What I'm saying is true for when you're training. I think it's a whole different story for when you're flying bigger planes, yung mga Airbus, Boeing, ganyan. Kasi all you have to do there is you have to press buttons. I'm saying this from the perspective of a student pilot because I've never driven an Airbus. Pero with our training, like with our Cessnas, if you're familiar with Cessna, we use our whole body talaga. So, arms, legs, feet, ganyan, everything. So, parang workout talaga siya.
Gusto ko i-explore yung sinabi mo dun sa banda ng lower body, sa legs. Paano siya napapagana when driving or when driving a plane?
Okay, so sa sa Cessna, you have your rudders. So, you use your feet para magalaw mo yung aircraft from left to right. And then on the ground, that's when in flight. Pag on the ground naman, we don't use the yoke in front of us to make the plane go left or right. Parang driving, it's not the yoke, it's not the steering wheel. So we use our legs then for that. Yung feet yung nagpapagalaw nung aircraft from left to right. That's why it's a whole body thing talaga.
Oo. Parang after hours of flight, mangangayayat ka. Ang dami mong na-burn na calories.
Actually, after flight kakain ka kasi stressed ka. So parang bawi-bawi lang din.
Sa field nyo, di ba, nabanggit din natin kanina na masasabi nating male-dominated na field. So, what is it like being a female? Na, kumbaga, minority ang female sa field na aviation, di ba? Can you tell us about your experience sa flight school?
Actually, at first, before going into school, it was an issue for me na parang, may iba ba akong makakasama na girls or women sa school. Pero when you're in there now, when you're in ground school now, when you're in the flight line, you don't really notice it actually. Hindi mo siya mapapansin unless it's pointed out to you. Hindi ko din siya masyadong iniisip. Although there are times na parang when we're deployed sa flight line, there are times na biglang mapapansin ko na, shocks, ako lang pala yung babaeng naka-deploy. And then the rest are males na. Tapos may mga times din na 2 kami or 5 kami. Pero hindi mo talaga siya mapapansin unless it's pointed out to you. There was this one time though. Have you guys heard of yung first solo flight?
I don't think so. Enlighten us,
No, I
please.
don't
Okay,
think
so,
so. Yeah.
okay, so first solo flights are kind of a big deal sa aviation kasi you start out flying na you're with an instructor. And then when the instructor is fully confident na you can fly the aircraft on your own, he or she releases you for your first solo flight. Tapos it's a big deal kasi parang, may confidence na sa akin yung instructor ko na I can fly the plane on my own. I can take this off and I can land it on my own. My dogs. So there. There was this one time I was watching a first solo flight of a fellow cadet. Tapos, may spectator na he was just there, may spectator lang. And then he said, kaya niya yan, yung babae nga na nauna kanina, kinaya yan pa kaya. Tapos parang, it's times like those na you realize na not, alam mo yun, meron parang mga ganong
Remarks.
kind of thinking. Yeah. Na parang, men can do it better than women. When in fact, we say this all the time in aviation. The plane, at the end of the day, it doesn't care if you're a woman or a man. Alam mo yun? As long as you can fly the plane. So, wala talagang, I don't really care if it's male-dominated. I know that I can fly the aircraft. So, parang at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
Very inspiring yung, yung message na hindi mo talaga siya mapapansin. Kasi, usually sa isang field, pag ganun, may certain feeling ka na malaleft out ka. Na, paano ako makaka-relate sa mga taong hindi ko naman kapareho. Pero that message is very uplifting para sa mga babae na that wants to get into the field just
Very
like you do.
inspiring and encouraging, no?
Yeah, and if you're actually super passionate about the field, then feeling ko hindi mo din talaga mapapansin. You'll really just see them as colleagues na parang who share the same passion as you.
Sa ano mo, sa so far na sa experience mo, nakaka-experience ka ba ng somehow negative na sexist remark?
Oo, paminsan. While in flight.
Uh-huh.
But I think it's unintentional.
In what sense?
Alam mo yun? I don't know if I'm... Okay, sige. There was this one time that parang I got commended for my flying na parang okay daw yung flying ko, ganyan. Considering that I'm a girl.
Oh.
So parang I didn't know how to feel about it na parang okay, I fly really well but for my... Alam mo yun, for being a woman, that's good. May mga ganon, mixed feelings na parang I wanna be happy about the comment, but also,
Parang,
man, that sucks.
parang backhanded slap eh. No?
Yeah.
Actually,
that was-
oo.
What I was going for, backhanded compliment yung yung
Ayun,
natanggap mo.
compliment pala.
But I don't think he or she intended to, alam mo yun, I feel like it was unintentional.
Kasi, yung mga ganun remarks parang nagiging, para siyang normal dati, tapos ngayon, sinusubukan nating maalis siya, di ba?
Yeah, totoo.
So,
Exactly.
ngayon, nagiging aware tayo na, teka, sexist yung ganong comment. Di ba? Pero besides that, meron ka pa bang mako-consider mo as extreme na remark based on yours?
Actually wala namang extreme,
Okay.
extreme situations na as in sexist talaga. Wala naman. I feel like they're also trying to, alam mo yun, be fair. So I feel like wala talagang, if there were times, they weren't extreme and I feel like they really weren't intentional.
Nakatuwa naman,
Which is
no?
good.
Pero bago pala yun, no, gusto ko lang balikan yung tanong na saan ka nga nag-aaral ngayon ng flight school mo? Saan?
So, currently, I'm training sa Clark, sa Alpha Aviation Group, with a program. My program's called the Airline Pilot Program. So, you start from 0 hours, from absolutely knowing nothing about aircrafts. Tapos, you graduate with a number of hours enough to allow you to apply for first officer sa mga airlines.
Okay. Nabanggit mo yung kanina cadet, no? Tapos nabanggit mo ngayon yung first officer.
Yeah.
Is it safe to say na merong hierarchy sa aviation?
Hierarchy merong hierarchy na so meron kasi tayong first officers and then you have your second officers and your captains. Is that what you mean?
Yes,
by
yung mga positions, rankings pala.
Yeah. So meron kami, if you guys notice with pilots, we have bars here on our shoulders when we're in our uniform. So meron kaming 2 bars, 3 bars, and then 4 bars. So for 2 bars, it means you're second officer. 3 bars, it's for your first officer. And then 4 bars is your highest position. I think that's, no, not I think. It's for your captains. So
Okay.
yan. So when you're a captain, you sit on the left seat facing the cockpit. And then right seat would be your first officer.
Ano yung second officer?
Second officer is for international flights kasi meron kaming certain number of hours na we can only fly these number of hours in a day. Kasi, for safety din ng passengers. It's kasi everyone's prone to fatigue naman. So, we have shiftings for international flights, for long-haul flights. So, mag-shift yan. You have to have an extra pilot on board. Para pag na-reach mo na yung limit mo for your flying hour for that day, you have to switch with another captain or with another pilot.
See. Kasi, for sure, may mga nakakasama ka ng mga nagpa-practice ng aviation, no? Mga legit pilots.
I've flown with airline pilots who don't fly for the airlines anymore. I've also flown with an Air Force pilot na rin who teaches na lang sa sa flying school.
Okay. Natanong mo na ba sila or na-share na nila sa'yo kung ano yung mga na-experience silang stresses while flying or on the ground?
Alam mo, honestly, I don't really talk that much in flight. I feel like meron lang mga instances where I talk to my instructors depending. Pero we actually discussed those naman in school, in ground school, na parang, yeah, pilots are prone to fatigue then, ganyan. They're prone to a lot of stresses talaga. Though I'm not sure if I can specify one specific stress na na-experience nila in flight because I feel like I haven't discussed that with them.
Mhm.
That's a good question though. I'll ask them that next time when we
Okay,
fly.
thank you. So, ano kasi, as a psych major, no? Kasi kapag meron kang physical fatigue, for sure maapektuhan yung mental health mo, no? Tapos may mga nabasa din akong research about aerospace psychology. I think merong ganun na field. Tapos, very prone sa mental health problems din yung pilots. Internationally, nabasa ko. I forgot the author and the title. I gotta look for it. Pero, yun, meron bang mga dinidiscuss sa inyo in school on how to manage yung well-being or yung mental health ng pilots?
I don't think we go into specific details on how to manage mental health, but we do go into discussing na yung mga hazardous attitudes ng mga pilots, mga ganon. And then, the antidotes for those hazardous attitudes. But I don't think we go into, alam mo yun, really discussing mental health. Yeah, in depth. I think we just go into the technical talaga. That's a good topic though. That's a good read.
Nabanggit mo yung yung hazardous attitude or behavior. Can you give an example of a hazardous attitude?
Okay, one hazardous attitude I think is there's actually 5, although I'm not confident I can enumerate.
Baka marinig
5.
to ng instructors mo.
Ng mga instructors ko. Pero there's one hazardous attitude, the impulsivity. Yung parang, I have to do this quickly. I have to do this na, parang ganan. There's also macho. Okay, so I think I can enumerate some. There's impulsivity. There's macho. Yung parang trying to show off. Mga ganan. And then, there's this, I forgot the term for it, pero yung parang, you withdraw, yung parang, I can't do this. I forgot the term for that. But that's also one hazardous attitude. And then another hazardous attitude is yung parang believing that it won't happen to you. This won't happen to me. That accident won't happen to me. Parang ganon. So those are some of the hazardous attitudes na we encounter. Not a lot of pilots encounter.
Okay. May mga nabanggit ka kamo na na nagko-coincide sa ibang concept sa psych pero nalimutan ko. Especially yung yung super confident na hindi mo ma-encounter yun. Nalimutan ko yung term. Sorry.
I forgot the term din eh.
Pero sa so far sa flight school mo, nakakailang hours ka na?
Everyone's gonna hear.
Sige, let's skip.
A little less than 200.
Pero ilan ba yung required?
Depends on the airlines. Some airlines require very rare I think. Some airlines require like 200, a little over 200 hours. Pero if you're applying for a higher position, I think they require like 1,500 hours or even more. Pero I think with a little over 200, I think you can get a job naman. There's a lot of jobs actually, hindi lang sa airlines eh. We also have general aviation. So, do you guys know yung crop dusting, yung mga, when you guys decide to jump off a plane? So, may mga pilots din for that. That's under general aviation. So, it's not all just airlines. Hindi lahat ng nagpipiloto gusto mag-airlines.
I was just about to ask that yung other job options aside from commercial airlines, yun yung tamang tawag, diba?
Airlines, yeah. So yun, meron pang other jobs actually. I realized that going into flying school na parang I thought all pilots they wanna be like yung sa airline pilots, yung sa airport talaga. Pero not everyone pala. A lot of people they just really enjoy flying. Na it doesn't matter if you fly for an airline. You just wanna fly in general. So hindi talaga lahat sa airlines. That's one thing I learned in school.
So, yung iba talagang private licenses lang.
Oo, parang ganun. They just wanna fly for themselves, ganun.
How about you? Ano yung career path na nakikita mo na you'll fit in?
From the start talaga, other than the fact na akala ko airlines lang yung patutunguhan ng lahat ng pilots, I really want to be an airline pilot. Yun talaga yung gusto ko. Although I'm open naman to, to general aviation, pero I think my end goal talaga is airline pilot. Kasi I love with airlines kasi there's a spontaneity. And also, there's a mix of spontaneous and a mix of regularity. Alam mo yun? Like, spontaneous in a way na there's always new routes opening up. There's always, ang daming combinations of places na you can go to from here to here, ganyan. Ang dami. Spontaneous yung pwede mong puntahan. But there's also a mix of regularity na you know you're gonna fly. I'm gonna fly this week. I'm gonna fly next week. But I just don't know where I'm going, who I'm flying with. Alam mo yun? There's a mix of both, which I like. I think that's why I want to go into yung sa airlines.
Laging merong essence ng papunta sa exciting part, no?
I know! Yeah, plus sa airlines, I can start with Airbus and then I can train for the Boeing na aircraft. Parang ganun. Ang daming possibilities din eh.
Para rin malinawan yung listeners natin, ano yung key difference ng Airbus sa Boeing na sinasabi mo?
It's basically like, it's hard to compare kasi it's like comparing a Toyota from a Honda. Parang ganun. So, Airbus is like the Toyota, yung parang brand. And then, you have your Airbus A320. So, that's your parang Fortuner, parang ganon.
Okay.
And then you have your Boeing, it could be your Honda. So, parang ganon, it's two brands na can't really compare. It's two different brands, parang ganon.
Pero parehas silang pwede for commercial flight?
Yes.
Ngayong nasa stage ka na sa flight school mo, what is the best part of being a pilot?
Man, alam mo, that's such a hard question. Kasi I love, whenever I get asked this question, wala lang, kinikilig ako. Pero I love everything about being a pilot. As in, from the uniform, to ground school, to writing my flight plans every night, to flying with my instructors, to the flying part itself, landing, cruising, lahat as in. But if I had to choose one specific best part about being a pilot, I think it's seeing things from a new perspective. Alam mo yun? Kasi driving, if I'm comparing it to driving, I can drive here sa Bataan, I can drive in Manila. The roads, sometimes they look all the same. But when you look at the roads, when you look at the world from thousands of feet above, it's so different. As in, like, it's different every time. I don't know how to explain it pa, but it's so surreal kasi every flight is so unique. Alam mo yun? It's a unique experience every time. It's a mix of, okay, the weather today is not so good. It's windy. And it's a mix of this aircraft is kinda bumpy or it's not that smooth compared to that other aircraft na nilipad ko kahapon. My instructor today is just quiet. Ganon. Parang it's a mixture of a lot of different things that makes the whole experience unique. So, parang iba yung world up there. Thousands of feet above. It's a different perspective talaga.
Talaga nakikita natin yung passion ni Pao sa niya, no? Sa field niya ngayon.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Ramdam ko yung kilig niya when talking about aviation.
Ito na lang nanggagaling yung kilig ko, guys.
Ang saya actually marinig ng taong isang passionate about something they're doing kasi it's very inspiring, very refreshing kasi karamihan na maririnig mo, I'm sick and tired of my job. Parang ganun eh. Pero
maybe because I'm new to it pa eh.
Yeah, probably. So, given that new perspective from way up there, feeling mo ba may nagbago sa philosophy mo sa buhay or how you look at things differently on the ground?
Alam mo, do you guys, have you guys heard of the phrase na parang looking at the bigger picture? Parang ganun. It's like that eh. Ang dami ko actually realizations that I can't enumerate now. Pero ang dami kong realizations when I'm flying na parang, shucks, wala lang. It's so simple pala when you're up there. Alam mo yun? It's us who complicates things. Parang ganun. It's so much simpler lang. Parang how to explain this? Pero, like, when you're too close to the picture kasi, that's like when you're driving, everything seems so messy. Pero when you're up there, when you're looking at the bigger picture, when you see things from a different angle, wala lang, you gain a new appreciation of things. It's so simple lang pala.
Yeah.
I don't know if I make sense.
Ako yung kinikilig para sa
Yeah,
kanya,
that
eh, no?
makes a lot of sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, would you say that you feel serenity while flying?
Yes. Alam mo, when you're flying a plane, it's actually so loud kasi the engine is so loud. Pero it's so peaceful up there. It is. It's really peaceful. It's so fun to fly. I don't know anything else to say other than it's really fun to fly. I feel like it's an experience that everyone should experience. Super peaceful lang sa taas.
Ito pala, may question ako since nasabi mo yung engine noise. May palpable difference ba between a Cessna and a Boeing or an Airbus? Nakapag-fly ka naman mas malaki kaysa sa Cessna?
I wish I could answer that. No, I've only flown a Cessna. But
Okay.
I tried sitting in sa simulator ng Airbus, which I think is different talaga from the real life. I'll let you know when I'm there na. Kasi I'm also getting my Airbus rating later this year. I will let you know.
Yes, please.
Pero for now, I've only flown a Cessna eh.
It's another episode for us.
Another episode.
Ako yung kinikilig talaga eh. Ang sayang pakinggan ng passion ni Pao.
Ako din eh. I really
Yeah.
love it. It's so fun.
Kasi, yun nga, di ba? We can hear yung passion, yung kagandahan ng aviation. Pero, ang downside nga lang nun for others ay yung capability nila to finance that kind of education. Anong masasabi mo dun for people who are thinking about that na nagiging hadlang para i-pursue yung aviation?
There's actually, that's true na it's expensive. It's fun, pero it's expensive. Pero there are actually a lot of programs na that support, alam mo yun, people who want to be pilots. So, have you guys heard of yung Study Now, Pay Later programs? Or SNPL? So, may mga programs na ganon na you can fly now, you can study now, and then later on, when you have the capacity na, you can pay them. So, parang it's a bank transaction thingy. I think it's a bank arrangement. And then there are also programs, I think Cebu Pac has this, Cebu Pacific. They have the cadet program where you just have to apply, and then when you meet the requirements, they'll finance your flying school, and then you just have to work for them to pay for your training. Parang ganun. There are a lot of ways na actually to become a pilot,
support,
even if
huh?
To support.
Ngayon ko lang siya narinig kasi usually kapag pinag-uusapan yung aviation or flight school, iisipin mo na kagad, ang mahal nito, ang mahal ng tuition dito. Tapos meron
so
palang ganyan.
expensive.
Interesting.
Totoo. May mga ganong programs.
Ang dami na opportunities para sa listeners natin na gusto mag-pursue ng aviation, diba? Speaking of madami ng ways to pursue aviation, so sabihin natin andyan na sila, mag-enroll na sila. Do you have any tips for people who wants to get into aviation?
I have a couple of tips. So first is, you have to really make sure na you're really passionate about the field. Alam mo yan, it's not just a spur of the moment thing. Kasi it's expensive eh. It's really expensive. And a lot of people, I'm sure, a lot of the aspiring pilots, probably, someone else is financing for you or you could be financing for yourself. Pero, it's really expensive. So, you have to really make sure that you really want this. Alam mo yun? I got warned when I was applying for flying school na at some point, people, aspiring pilots, they lose their passion. It's expensive to lose your passion kasi you've already invested so much. So yun,
I can relate, man.
That's one tip. So that's one tip na parang you really have to make sure that you really want this. It's not just a spur of the moment thing. And also, one thing that really helped me, up until now actually, another tip is to take it step by step or day by day lang. Baby steps lang. Kasi I remember when I was applying when I first Googled how to become a pilot, ang daming lumabas about like licenses na you have to get this license, you have to get that license, and then for you to get that license, you have to finish these number of hours, you have to take these subjects. Alam mo yun, sobrang overwhelming. And me having zero knowledge about the field and having no one to ask about the field kasi I don't have any close friends or close relatives na pilots then. So, it was all on my own. So, parang it was also overwhelming para sa akin. So, what I did was I took it step by step lang talaga. What I did was I started lang to email a flying school na I inquired lang, ganun. Tapos parang I took it from there. And even up until now, there's so many things pa I have to do. Like, I have so little flying hours pa. I still have a lot of licenses to work on, ratings to work on. Pero I know na I've come so far na. And I know that I've come so far kasi I take it day by day lang talaga. So, aviation sometimes can be overwhelming. Pero if you just take it, alam mo yun, baby steps at a time lang, you'll eventually get there. That's some tips lang.
Kasi small progress is still progress, di ba? It's a cliche,
True.
pero it's true, di ba? Tsaka,
Yeah, and you won't get there if you don't take that first step.
yun din yung mahirap. Lagi namin sinasabi yan ni J.A. na yung first step lagi yung mahirap. Especially dito sa podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, kasi always the
It's
hardest.
actually hard nga, the first step. Pero once you get through that first step na parang, I'm glad I did that.
It's easy to figure out. It's easy to figure out once you make the first step. Parang alam mo na meron ka ng direction to take, and all you have to do is, sabi mo nga, take it
Exactly.
day by
Isang
day.
consequence ng hindi mo pag-take it slowly or day by day is burnout. Dun magsisimula yung
Exactly.
pagwala ng passion mo.
Totoo yan. Pag na-overwhelm ka din, wala, minsan mawawalan ka ng gana.
Totoo.
So, important talaga yung baby steps. It looks so small. It looks like a baby step pa rin. Pero you know what? It's a big thing.
It's still progress.
Yes.
Ano lang to, parang kahit outside of aviation, you can answer the question. What's your unpopular
I feel
opinion?
like this is so common.
Ano yan?
Feeling ko sobrang common.
It's okay.
Sige lang. It's fine.
Pineapples don't belong on pizza. Trigger ko. I swear. No.
You hate pineapples on
Why?
pizza.
Why
I
though?
hate pineapples on pizza. They don't belong there.
Why?
It should be
Passionate din siya sa
illegal.
argument
To
na yun.
mix. It's to mix up
No, stop, Jay. No.
yung flavor.
No.
Italians would
The
be
acidity.
furious.
No.
It's the acidity plus the
No,
sweetness
it's
of the
not.
fruit that mixes up things.
Hindi, it ruins the flavor eh. No. Wag na.
Okay.
As a person who eats anything, I would eat it pag nandyan na.
No.
Especially kung libre, di ba?
Totoo. But
Ay.
no.
Okay. Tanggapin natin yan. Kahit against ako doon. Bilang isang food technologist.
Oh no!
Food technologist.
I'm sorry.
No, di naman ako practicing, so hindi naman It's more of a preference lang din na I like things mixed up, so I understand the preference.
I get it, but no.
Ang passionate niya din sa argument talaga eh. I love it.
Yeah.
Maraming salamat, Pao, sa pag-guest dito sa aming podcast.
Pao.
No?
Thank you for having me.
Oh no, the honor is ours, no?
Yeah.
At talagang nakita namin yung passion mo. Kahit student ka pa lang, nakikita talaga namin na you're gonna conquer that field, you know? At sana ma-maintain mo yung passion na yan.
Hopefully.
Alright, siguro hanggang dito na lang, no? At maraming salamat sa mga nakinig. Kita-kits sa susunod na kwentuhan. Muli, ako si Joe.
Ako si J.A.
At ito ang Kwentuhang Pilibustero Podcast.